it's officially 6 o'clock. Thank you for everybody for coming out to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for July 22nd, 2025. We'll have some roll call.
Ms. Orich?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Okay, and if we don't mind all standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we sit down, we'd like to have a little moment of meditation. And for this week, I just would like everybody to keep your loved ones in our prayers for their health, their happiness, and prosperity.
I would also ask for a moment of meditation in memory of a longtime community member, Rosemary Huey.
Thank you. Okay, we have some approval of minutes.
Thank you, Board. I would recommend a motion for the approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on July 8th, 2025.
I motion that we approve the July 8th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
None.
None.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, now we have some presentations.
Yes, Board, thank you. The very first presentation tonight is one for 10 years of existence in our community. So Sanctuary Point is celebrating that anniversary coming up soon. And so I believe one of you has a copy of the proclamation if you'd like to motion and read it into the record. And I'm not sure if anybody is here from Sanctuary Point, but yeah, if you guys wanted to come to the dais, okay, that's fine too. So we'll have that ready for you.
That was a yes. I would like to go ahead and read this proclamation for Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab Center, the 10-year anniversary here in Colerain Township, Ohio. Whereas Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab Center, located at 11501 Hamilton Avenue in Colerain Township, is celebrating their 10th anniversary. And whereas Sanctuary Point provides an array of rehabilitative and nursing services to all of Greater Cincinnati's senior population. And whereas their central location in Colerain Township provides easy access to most major hospitals, making the transition for patients from hospital care to rehabilitation care easier. New patients can be admitted not only upon discharge, but also from the emergency room, the doctor's office, or home. And whereas Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab Center is celebrating their success and is looking forward to many more years of service in Colerain Township. Be it resolved that in recognition of Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab Center, the Colerain Township Board of Trustees hereby proclaim Thursday, August 21st, 2025, as a special day of recognition for Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab to acknowledge their 10th anniversary and their many contributions to Colerain Township.
I'll motion to accept the proclamation.
I'll second.
And my comment would be congratulations, and for those of us that have elderly family members or family members that might need a little assistance, you're better off to check out Sanctuary Point or any one of the other facilities that are around so that you have a plan in place, because you never know when it's going to creep up on you. And congratulations to Sanctuary Point. I have been there before, and it's a very nice place.
Thank you for all you do for the community.
Absolutely, thank you.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Do you want to get your picture taken with your proclamation? No, ma'am. Okay.
Can you come up and just introduce yourself and say something about your facility, please, sir? You'll be
Putting you on the spot at all.
be okay, but no, just people need to know what these places are and what kind of help they provide.
So I've been a nurse since 1999, and I work at Sanctuary Point. And the bigger thing is what he said, the rehab and to bring the elderly. It is, all I want to say is I'm an advocate for the elderly, and I just appreciate everything that you just said. And I welcome anybody in Colerain Township to come and understand what it's like to just take care of and have your family come up and enjoy what we do at Sanctuary Point.
And your name again, sir?
Derek with 2 R's, Davidson.
Okay, because Jeff will put that in the minutes. Yes, and the best time to go looking is before you need somewhere. So just get a hold of Gary Davidson or anybody at Sanctuary. Okay.
Derek Davidson.
Derek. yes, go out and see it before you are in need and see what a nice facility it is. And thank you. Do they know you, or do they know where you're at?
Sure they know who I am. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm
Okay, he'll make a copy for you, and then he'll give you the actual proclamation. Okay, thank you. I'll wait for a minute for him to come back with your copy. You didn't know you were going to get a present, right? Okay.
No, it is really good to know what's out there. You know, what kind of services are available here in Colerain. You know, a lot of people say, well, I'm, leaving Hamilton County. I want to go live out in Indiana somewhere. But when they need help, when they need services, they're right back here.
We also offer dialysis.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Which is great because patients don't need to be, it's expensive to transport patients out for any medical needs. And when you can have dialysis, and I think you have how many machines do you have there?
I want to say 4, but don't.
Right, I've been out and saw that, I went out and saw that part of the operation several years ago, and I think, didn't you go, Kathy, also?
The one right on Pippin. That was the other one.
Okay.
Right at Pippin.
Yes, but it's always good to have those services in-house because transport can be very expensive to have your family member or loved one moved out to kidney dialysis.
Well, while we wait on Mr. Baker's return, I'm sure we can move on to the swearing in for the fire department. So Chief Walls would like to come forward.
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening to the board and everyone in attendance and everybody online. I'll give a quick shout out to Sanctuary Point. My mom's been there twice for rehabilitation services. Thanks for the great job you do. So, here tonight to introduce and swear in our newest career firefighter and our newest fire captain. So I'd like Gavin Ripley to come forward, please. And Captain Riefenberger, please. And I'll have your spouses come in a minute if you want to stand here and face that way. So to my left, your right, is Gavin Ripley. He's been with us for a year and a half. He completed the paramedic program in 2023. He's working on his RN. He attended both Cincinnati State and Gateway Community College for that. He has a flight paramedic certification through IBSC. And Gavin looks to take an educational role within EMS and contribute to the growth and excellence of the department by being part of something greater than himself. And tonight, he will be pinned by his wife, Megan, and in a minute, I'll have him introduce his family and have his wife, Megan, come forward. To my right, your left, is Captain Riefenberger. He graduated from Mount St. Joe in 2002 with a BA in Physical Education and Health. Finished his firefighter and EMT certification at Scarlet Oak. Started working part-time for Colerain Fire and EMS in 2005. Finished his paramedic through Cincinnati State in 2009 and was hired full-time as a firefighter medic by Erlanger, Kentucky in 2011. Came here full-time in 2014, was promoted to lieutenant in 2020, and will be pinned by his wife, Susan. So we'll let Gavin introduce his family.
I'm here with my wife, Megan, and my newborn, Jameson, and my
Here with my wife Susan, my sons Hudson, Brock, and Connor, my father Bill, and my sister Julie.
Okay. If your spouses would come forward, please. Raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, Eric Riefenberg,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
I'll abide by the Colerain Fire and EMS
abide by the Colerain Fire and EMS
mission statement,
mission statement,
values,
values,
code of ethics,
code of ethics,
standard operating guidelines,
standard operating guidelines,
and the township's policies and procedures.
township's policies and procedures.
I'll faithfully discharge the duty of
Faithfully discharge the duty of captain,
faithfully discharge the duty of firefighter paramedic
District.
In and for Colerain Township,
For Corning Township,
Hamilton County,
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
And then since you passed your test with the swearing in, I've got something for you to sign.
Thank you for coming here to Colerain Township. And I guess you're going to have a lot of nights that you have the baby by yourself since he's going to be on overnight, so sorry.
Congratulations to you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Board, the next presentation this evening will be administered by Chief of Police Ed Cordy.
Good evening, Board, everybody. The two that I have before you tonight are the product of our brand-new police recruit process. These are the first two that went through the process. They went through Butler Tech, and they're here before you tonight as police officers. So directly to my right is going to be Laura Russell. She came to us with 2 bachelor's degrees from Murrysville College in Tennessee. Those bachelors are ASL, Deaf Studies, and General Psychology with a minor in Child and Adolescence Trauma. Prior to becoming a police recruit, Laura spent 2 years as a caseworker and investigator for Warren County Children's Services. Austin Cheney, 2016, Austin graduated high school from William Henry Harrison High School, and shortly after enlisted in the United States Air Force. He was honorably discharged in 2021 at the rank of Senior Airman. Like many in the Cheney family, as you can see here, they have a strong history in public service and law enforcement as a brother and his father, both being officers in local communities. You two, would you like to introduce your family?
I'm here with my father, Mark Russell, my mom, Karen Russell, and my sister, Abby Russell.
My brother Hunter, my dad Craig, my mom Lori, my little sister Ava, my wife Danielle, and then her father Bill. Great. Mark, come on up.
State your name.
I, Laura Russell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio
and the Constitution of the State of
and its
Ohio
bylaws.
and its bylaws.
I will abide by
I will abide by
the Corning Police Department
the Colerain Police Department
mission and value statement,
mission and value statement,
code of ethics,
code of ethics,
rules and regulations,
rules and
and
regulations,
police department policy and procedures.
police department policy and procedures.
I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of a police officer
the duties of police officer
in and for Corning Township,
in and for Colerain Township,
Hamilton County,
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Oh,
Congratulations.
yes. And both of you bring so much to the township with your degrees and your experience. Thank you for picking Colerain Township and going through our program. Okay.
There it is.
Congratulations and thank you so much.
And congratulations to all the family members of both.
Well, this is the time if anybody came for the presentations, they can leave if you'd like.
But you're welcome to stay.
Oh, congratulations. New baby. I saw that. Thank you. She's on the phone. Now we come to the point of the citizens' address, and Derek, do you want to speak again?
I would love to, but I would like to speak in front of the chief because.
Oh, you want, wait, when he gets back in here, you want to wait till he gets back in here?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Well, you know what, because we can go. So let me just say this.
Okay, I just, since you probably haven't spoke before, I just want to give you the rules and regulations. This is our lights. You've got 5 minutes. The green light, okay, you're good. Okay. Yellow light is your minute warning.
So the bigger thing with me being here today and just noticing, no disrespect to anybody, the minority in the courtroom. Officer Cordy has been nothing but, what's the name? Chief. Well, come up here. So I don't mess up. The chief of police has been nothing but extremely nice and more professional than the Cincinnati police. And I want to put that on record because I come from Cincinnati. I'm from Walnut Hills. Obviously, I play football. The bigger thing is just having someone who doesn't look like you honor and accept and just have the humanity, just being a human to understand the conversation within the law. But I also have another person on the police force who went to Northwest. His name is Officer Jay Cox. He played football. And this dude, he's also white. And I had a situation where he actually just was humble. You know, he didn't ask for my name. He didn't ask for my ID. He wanted to have a conversation with me, and I don't want to cry, but he made sure that I was okay. And the situation wasn't about me, it was about my grandson who was autistic. And he was just like, I get it, I understand, chill out. And I really wish Officer, there he is, Chief Cordy was in here because, what's the name, Officer Jay Cox?
Yeah.
Was awesome. We left, what was it, on the mail, on the email?
Oh, we left the.
Compliment that what he did. And this man has never been anything but extremely nice to me because I had a whole situation, but I won't talk about that. I just want to be complimentary to the Colerain Police. He let me know that y'all short staff and whatever. I live on 3134 March. Whatever taxes you want to raise, whatever y'all want to do, I'm all for it. Y'all got my vote. He told me he was elected. No, he was appointed, not elected, but I would vote for you. I told you that to your face. We open. Y'all need some money? We got you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love hearing that. Thank you for taking the time to come up and speak. We love it. Thank you. Okay, I have one more. Carrie Davis.
Welcome.
Hello. I want to talk about the zoning code and what's on old business tonight before you. I think you guys actually agree with me on this, but just in case you don't, let me try to persuade you. First off, when the citizens of Colerain Township passed the zoning code, it was the understanding that they would give up some privileges they've had for decades in order to have a trade-off of enforcement of our rules and our laws and to have some due process rights. And this was a trust created between the residents and the Board of Trustees. And it doesn't matter what the reason is, it got messed up. The due process rights of residents have not been complied with on multiple development sites. And tonight you're going to be talking about violating this trust again with Joseph. Joseph has been aggressively, and I speak as the authorized representative appointed by both the residents on Colerain Wawa and on Pool Road. So if need be, I will be filing a formal action with the zoning board the way it was supposed to be done. But I'm hoping tonight you put this one to rest. Clearly, everybody dropped the ball. Everybody turned their head and looked the other way. And it is your responsibility not only to decide on what advances our community, but what protects it. And I'm asking you tonight, you must deny both the actions of the zoning department that skipped a whole process. They're supposed to, when anybody does an amendment to a plan, they're supposed to put that in writing. They're not supposed to have somebody to call or have a meeting. You know, they're supposed to put amendments in writing. They did not do that. Our zoning department did not make them do that. Our zoning administrator did not make a formal decision that was appealable, you know, to the zoning board or to you guys. So the due process rights of the residents, both at Wawa with the mountain of mud and on Pool Road, have been violated. And so we need to back this cart up, and if they want to do it, put it in writing, ask for it, and then get a recommendation from your zoning board before you make a decision. That's your only way to back your way out of this. Tonight, if you skip the due process rights, we've got a big, big problem, you know, kind of like my lawsuit. You can't violate people's due process rights. That's civil rights. And so then you're asking for a bigger problem. So I'm asking you to reject the zoning administration's desire to allow Joseph to do this and at least comply with the due process rights of the residents. We need to do this for Wawa as well, and that should be put on, that whole development should be put on hold until that appeal is heard, and to deny them the right to move forward. Like I said, I do think you all are more empathetic with the residents. This was not, as the administrator says in his position, he has the discretion to decide if something is a major or a minor modification. That discretion under the law cannot be abused, it cannot be capricious, and it cannot be arbitrary. And that is the problem we're having, and why residents are so angry with you all, is because we are making decisions behind the scenes without following formal rules by the ORC, and we're screwing these people out of their rights without due process of law. So I'm asking you to decline Joseph's moving forward. I'm disturbed that, Dan, you should not have sicked a big law firm like that on a little old lady. She's a very nice, fairly timid old woman, 85 years old, and to have somebody calling her offering to bribe her, in essence. That's another issue we should be concerned about, is when you're offering to cut somebody's grass and you're offering to put up fences for them and do favors for them so they shut up. That's not good. That's called corruption. So with all these factors, I'm asking you guys to deny Joseph's approval. If we have to choke it down because we made a mistake, but I believe Joseph has contributory negligence because it was in their contract. They weren't unaware. They had an attorney and an architect, as well as the owner, had full knowledge. They weren't allowed to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, administration reports.
Thank you, Board. I believe Chief Walls is still out in the rotunda, so his report was going to be that we have a ribbon cutting on Station 26 scheduled for Saturday at 10 a.m. It's also going to be an open house, so if you've never seen the ins and outs of how a fire station is structured and operates, this is a great opportunity to learn and just see a little bit of the new station. And I believe, looks like, Tiff, are you saying you have an administrative report? Sure, that's fine, yeah. And I think Ms. Mays has an administrative report as well.
Hello, Board.
Hello.
Thank you for your attention, I appreciate it. Just over the past week, Groesbeck Park has experienced 2 separate instances of vandalism. Our local parks, including Groesbeck and Clipper Park, as well as the other parks that are in our infrastructure, play a vital role in our community life and deserve our collective care and attention. While much of the recent discussion is focused on Clifford Park, it is important to recognize that these issues affect all of our public green spaces. And that goes equally across the board, and I wanted to bring that to your attention today. We encourage everyone to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity in any park. Let's come together through respectful use, routine cleanup efforts, and prompt reporting to maintain a safe, welcoming environment across our entire park system. So I just wanted to make that public announcement and also just report that to the trustees to give you, an update on where we're at with our parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Ms. Mays, I wanted to say, as I told you in the hallway, but for those in the department that are watching, I have been on different people in this position for the last 3 or 4 years about the I-275 exit ramps and things like that. And the other day when I drove by, it's looked as good as I've ever seen it in the last 10 or 12 years. I mean, not only was everything weeded out of the landscape, which is just taken off. I guess that's what happens when it rains 3 hours a day. But the grass was cut at like a perfect angle. I like to do mine diagonal, but I'm kind of nut, but that's all right. We'll work on that part. But it just was so green and looked so fantastic. Everybody's done a great job, a phenomenal job on that. If you pass that along to the folks in public services.
I definitely will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiff. Okay, so now we come time for the trustee report. So either of you want to go first?
I'll go ahead and go. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. I did receive a call from a resident, and Dan's the one who gives out his phone number, 513-404-3057. I get plenty of calls. One of them wanted to know when the other Wawa was going to start construction, and last night the fence went up at the corner of Blue Rock and Banning, and as of an hour ago, one of those 3 houses is down. The house behind it's down. There's 2.5 more buildings to tear down, so it is up and moving, and we'll see how that goes. The comments made by one of the speakers during the public address, I have no idea what that person's talking about. They're the rantings of a person. I'll leave it at that. Germania Oktoberfest is coming up before you know it, next month, August 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And I'm looking forward to the dedication of the new fire station this Saturday, July 26th, over on Clara. For those that don't know where that is, it's behind St. Anne's, it's behind the library. And I think it will be a great thing. And this board will have gotten a lot of updates done to our important fire infrastructure here in the township. And I will yield my, one more thing. Code enforcement went out to the CVS store on Hamilton Avenue, which recently closed, and I guess our development department might report to me what's going in there. I heard there is a plan, but they got out there and got the owner to cut the lot and clean things up, and congratulations to our code enforcement. That's always doing a great job. There are still some issues over on Miles Road that I hope we can address sooner than later. So thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Yes, so this will be really short. Mr. Wackback and I, Friday, had a sit-down with, I don't know, it was like, I think the whole board of directors of Duke Energy showed up. They kept sending in engineers and vice presidents and things like that. We talked about some of the issues with the power that I guess I'll try to explain, but I understand it, but it's one of those things that's very difficult to explain. The back-to-back outages, which were the ones that really kind of concerned me, that knocked, I think, 8,000 people out on I don't have the dates, on a Monday and a Wednesday. It's interesting because I told the guy for Duke when I spoke to him that Wednesday, I'm like, it's related to the stuff you're doing on Cheviot Road. And he goes, well, I don't know. That's highly unlikely. And the engineer said, well, that's highly unlikely. And he came in Friday, he goes, I can't believe it. It's related to the work they're doing on Cheviot Road. And I'm like, well, sometimes correlation is causation, other times it's not. But so they're upgrading these circuits, and I don't want to get too in detail about it, but we have many more circuits than we ever have, and that's to if a certain area gets a hotline tag, which is, I guess, a phrase in the business, that just little circuit shuts down. But because they were doing that work on Cheviot, White Oak Circuit was now going to the Maple Knoll Circuit, and that got hot tagged, which took the whole thing out. We did have a larger discussion about, and I noticed this last year on Cheviot Road. You know, they tend to work around 3 o'clock, and St. James is getting out, and Colerain High School is getting out, and it can be a traffic mess. But the other thing is, it seems kind of random. They'll work one day, and then you won't see them again for 2 weeks, and then the sign will be up that says they're working, but they're really not working. And we had a discussion about that and holding them a little bit more accountable with that. And I should know a little bit more because I'm going to get a tour of the circuit switching system or something. I don't know. But they are working on that, and my initial concern was, man, this equipment must be so old, that's why it's always going out. In point of fact, they're upgrading it, and sometimes you just have a power surge, and both those days it was very, very hot. And one circuit was taking the weight of 2, and then when that happened, it tripped out. But they're working on it, and I'm working on following up with it and to see what else we can do to help.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is just the White Oak Circuit is getting an increase in its load capacity. So that's really the main focus of that project that's on Cheviot Road. And one of the points that they brought up that I thought was very insightful, and it's given me a new appreciation, we call power burps. So when your power flickers, that's the smart grid system essentially transferring your power from your current grid to another grid. So let's say a squirrel gets caught on a line somewhere on your grid. In the past, you would have been down for 8+ hours, but when you see those burps, that means it's actually just diverting power from somewhere else on the grid so that it's interconnected in a way, and that's why you're not necessarily seeing a large disruption other than maybe having to reset your clock because you had that 1 or 2 seconds of power outage. So that was really interesting to hear and has kind of given me a new appreciation for whenever we see those quick flickers, because they do happen, and if somebody hits a power line, animals, debris, whatever that might be, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's outside of our control, but knowing that they're working to get the system a little more compact so that there are less of those opportunities is really reassuring to hear.
And I think I only called on CG&E once, which is an improvement. The other thing I wanted to point out is that every day I go to the post office, and there's so many people that were involved in doing this. Jeff Mills pushed it for a long time. Jeff Weckbach, I know that David Miller, I think, had some discussions as we get around to the start of school, which it's not that soon, but the back to school commercial started like a month ago. I'm happy to see that Joseph Road has a sidewalk. I know a lot of those students park, and it's easier for them to park in Home Depot and places like that, and they'll be safe. Now, whether they use them or not, we'll see, but they'll have a safe route to go back and forth to the high school, and that's every day I have a reminder of that, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the hard work to get that in.
And that reminds us, we have a ribbon cutting plan for the sidewalk on August 12th, so that's our next trustee meeting night at 4:30. The school district has been gracious enough to let us stage in their parking lot at Colerain High School. So we'll formally recognize the brand new sidewalks that are keeping kids safe right before school actually gets in session.
And there are still 5 orange traffic cones out there. I was at the post office today.
Yep.
So
I didn't see you there.
I took off today. I went to a funeral, and I stopped there on the way to the
I
funeral.
was there at 3, so.
All right, so, okay, thank you. Want to let you know, we had a ribbon cutting last Saturday morning, and it was extremely hot, but it was well attended. There was probably, would you say, over 100 and something people there, and lined up on Colerain Avenue, took a nice snapshot. But Susan Bennett gave a beautiful speech. If anybody doesn't know the theme behind the mural, it's one of the longest murals in the state of Ohio. Okay, and so also the reason for the colors and the birds, she said, she feels that the colors are beautiful together. It's a blended community, and that the birds and butterflies and eagles, everybody can blend together, and that's the way our society should be. So she had a beautiful speech about that. Just wanted to thank her for all the hard work the chamber did on that wall.
We also had the 513 Relief Bus here at Northwest Community Church, and they were thank you for providing all the free items and services to our community. And this Friday, if nobody's got anything to do, at Colerain Park, we're having the band Fog, and they're friends of mine, and it's called Four Old Guys, but they are very good. I just saw them last Friday night. So they will be at 7 o'clock, and there will be a food truck, and there are drinks available for purchase there. And National Night Out, which is a great time right here in our parking lot. Bring your kids. It's August 5th from 6 to 8, and it's completely paid for by donations from local businesses. We had pizza last year. There were snow cones. The kids have a ball. There's jump houses, touch a truck with their painted hands. So, and are we going to have the dog out for? That's always the big attraction. One of our police officers in 100-degree weather wear that big heavy suit of armor, and the dogs attack them, and they have so much fun. The crowd says, "Do it again." So it was nice to see that. And then also, we had a good PR from our local reporter, Mike Schell, for highlighting our community in the LIS Revive and Thrive program. If you haven't heard about it, it's on our Facebook page. It's such a great program. Be sure to check it out for the safety and upgrades to your home.
And on that note, LISC is actually going to come out at our next board meeting to provide a public presentation on the program, so that if anybody does have questions, while they can call 211 to get answers, they could also stay tuned for 3 weeks from now.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, board, next items are in new business, and they will be delivered by Police Chief Ed Cordy.
Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you. Okay, first thing I have for you is a resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement. This resolution allows for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and or refuge at the following properties: 2505 Burnside Drive, 2726 Henge Drive, 2766 Houston, 9717 Laura Linda, 3159 Niagara, 3436 Niagara, 10547 Pottinger, and 6268 Rocknell, and I recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we declare a nuisance and ordering abatement at the properties as detailed by Chief Cordy.
Second.
Any discussion?
None?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
The next is a resolution declaring junk motor vehicles at 2813 Banning Road. At this address, there are two vehicles in question, first being a 1998 red Cadillac DeVille, Ohio plate HAN 9605. The second being a 1999 black Chevrolet Tahoe with Ohio plate JZH 8567. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I recommend that we, wait a second, I lost my screen here, just a second. I recommend that we declare those two motor vehicles at 2813 Banning Road as described by Chief as junk motor vehicles.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, the next is a resolution declaring junk motor vehicles at 2968 Compton Road.
Wow.
Recommend adoption of the resolution, declare and order abatement for these following vehicles. At this address, there's multiple vehicles. First being a 2012 gray Honda Pilot with Ohio 699YZR. The second being a 2003 tan Chevrolet Trailblazer with no plate. The third, a 1996 gray Acura Legend, no plate. The fourth, a 2000 white Acura TL with Ohio 665LA. The fifth being a 2003 blue Volkswagen Jetta, Ohio plate 572YTM. The sixth, 1998 green Dodge Ram, Ohio 573YTM. The seventh, a 1976 maroon Oldsmobile Delta 88. Looks like Ohio 648ZJN. The eighth, a 2006 gray Jeep Liberty, Ohio 649ZJN. The ninth being a 2010 black AMO utility trailer with Ohio UAN 6065. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I recommend we adopt a resolution declaring those motor vehicles located at 2968 Compton Road as junk motor vehicles.
I'll second. Hey, Chief, I just have to ask, just because I'm curious, the ones with consecutive plates,
It was interesting when I was reading this, same thing in my mind.
Yes.
it's by chance, I guess, or?
I would assume, well, back then, you could register and you would go in person and they would physically have those plates in
Okay.
hand, and they would just grab two of them at a time, and they were consecutive then. Now,
Okay.
it's being sending away and they're coming to you, you get what you get.
All right, because you get two consecutive ones, yeah.
Neighbors are going to be happy with 8 cars getting
If
out of
those
there.
are the original plates, they probably still say seatbelts fastened on the bottom of them,
Sure.
which was what Governor Gilligan did. That was a rough year for General Motors, 1976, looking at that Oldsmobile. I'll have to drive by that. No other comments?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Ms. Strunger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, our last junk vehicle is a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 11269 Templeton Drive. At this address, we have a 2007 red Ford Mustang with Ohio JNJ 6226, and recommend adoption of this resolution.
A motion to adopt resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle, 11269 Templeton Drive.
I'll second.
And Chief, I would just like to comment on a side note. Yesterday, I had about a half an hour conversation with a former Cincinnati City Council person who happens to be putting himself back on the ballot this fall. And I told him that Cincinnati really should go to the direction of all this preventative broken window theory work, and how many junk motor vehicles we've removed from the township, and the fact that, you know, we're staying ahead of it. We don't have the graffiti problems here that Cincinnati has, and that Cincinnati would do them a great favor. They would do themselves a great favor to start doing some of this work that people don't really think police do. But this is a big part of our policing, is trying to stop problems before they get to be big problems. And it's a really important work that you're doing with the, you know, our Officer Boyd and the other people in code enforcement. That's huge work, and people need to know that's a big part of what our police department's doing. So I know I bring it up every meeting, but this is great stuff to try to stay out in front of these things. No other comments?
Thank you.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Ms. Strunger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Last item I have for you is a motion to issue a noise resolution permit to St. John the Baptist. This is the first request for a permit in 2025 for St. John the Baptist. This request is for their annual festival, which is held August 1st through the 3rd. The event hours are as followed. On the 1st, it'll be from 6 p.m. to midnight. On the 2nd, it'll be from 4:30 p.m. to midnight. And on the 3rd, from 12:30 in the afternoon until 6 p.m. I recommend adoption of the resolution.
A motion that we approve the noise permit for St. John the Baptist Church as described.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Ms. Strunger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Board, the next few items are in the Development Department. Development Director Miller is excused for this evening, so I will introduce those. And the first is a motion to set a public hearing on August 12th at 6 p.m. for BZA case ZCE 25-7, which is declaration of abandoned signage at 2539 West Galbraith Road.
A motion that we set a public hearing at the Board of Trustees meeting on August 12th, 2025 for BZA case ZCE 25-7, declaration of abandoned sign at 2539 West Galbraith.
I'll second.
Now, if I'm not wrong, is that part of our due process?
These
Holding the hearings?
This is the established process that the board has adopted, yes.
And these are announced, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
We even have public hearings for them, Matt.
Right.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Ms. Strunger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The next item is a motion to set a public hearing at Board of Trustees meeting on August 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. for BZA case ZCE 25-15. That's declaration of abandoned signage at 9090 Pippin Road. And I recommend approval.
I'll motion to set a public hearing at the Board of Trustees meeting on August 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. for BZA case CZE 25-15, declaration of abandoned signage at 9090 Pippin Road.
And I will second it. And I will comment that the purpose of these public hearings, if you have any type of comment at all about removing the commercial sign at 9090 Pippin Road, that's your chance to speak, because that's what we're doing here, is giving the people a chance to address the issues.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And the final item of new business and development is a motion to set a public hearing at Board of Trustees meeting on August 12, 2025 at 6 p.m. for BZA case ZCE 25-17, declaration of abandoned signage at 9406 Pippin Road.
A motion to set a public hearing at Board of Trustees meeting on August 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. for BZA case ZCE 2517, declaration of abandoned signage at 9406 Pippin Road.
I will second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. And the next item will be presented by Assistant Administrator Mays.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Okay, in your packet on page 28 is a motion authorizing the Township Administrator to execute a natural gas aggregation agreement at a rate not to exceed Duke's Energy gas cost recovery rate for a period of 12 months. So to explain, basically our energy aggregation program is going to look for a rate that's lower than Duke, and in order for us, because the market moves so fast, we're asking that if we find a rate that's lower than Duke's rate, that we can go into contract with them. So as it stands right now, we're hearing that it's anticipated that the Duke rate will be between 75 to 80 cents per CCF, and our aggregation is looking at a little bit lower rate than that. So we're hoping to get that lower rate, and once we do, we want to sign that contract as soon as we can and close that, since our market moves so fast. The contract will also maintain the ability for our residents to opt out without penalty. Staff recommendation is the adoption and approval of the motion.
I motion that we authorize the Township Administrator to execute a natural gas aggregation agreement at a rate not to exceed Duke Energy's gas cost recovery rate for a period of 12 months.
I'll second. And so it is free of charge for people to opt in and out as many times as they want. So if you want to follow the market, please, feel free to opt in and out.
One day or to the next, day to day.
And as we've mentioned at previous meetings, this was set in place by Colerain Township voters 19 years ago in, I guess, 2006, when township voters authorized the then trustees and subsequent trustees to have a aggregation program for gas and electric. This is something that's before us and something that'll come after us. It's just what we're doing.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Board. That concludes new business. There's one item of old business. That is a resolution approving or denying major amendment to Final Development Plan Resolution 29-12. I believe that you all first heard testimony and considered this at the July 8th, 2025 meeting. That item was tabled, and so it's before you all again for more conversation. And staff recommends a resolution tonight, either approval or denial. Staff seeks direction in that front.
Welcome back.
Sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
My name is Clark Cotton. I'm an attorney for Joseph Toyota. With me tonight is Mark Stein, who was at the meeting 2 weeks ago. Also, I have Sue, who's the HR manager, and Laura, who is the customer service manager at Joseph Toyota. When this was tabled 2 weeks ago, there was some discussion that we wanted to have an opportunity to meet with Ms. Jarvis, which was the neighbor closest to Joseph Toyota, who came and spoke at this last meeting before the board. We had an opportunity to do that. By that I mean Joseph Toyota did, reached out to her to address some of her concerns specific to safety, specific to the landscaping around there. Since that time, Joseph Toyota has agreed to plant in 2 large evergreen trees between Joseph Toyota and her property to help with her sight line and also to help with noise reduction around the area. They also showed her the landscaping plans that will be around the curb cut. And on that note, I'll just say that Joseph Toyota offered as just a show of goodwill while its landscapers were out there to help with some work in her yard if she wanted that. She initially said yes, but later decided she didn't want to. Certainly that is not any kind of a bribe or anything. That's just a show of good nature between Joseph Toyota and its neighbor. So we had an opportunity to speak with her and really address a lot of her concerns, and I think we've done, Joseph Toyota has done that and has done a good job of addressing what she's concerned about. One other thing that she was definitely concerned about was safety of cars turning out of this curb cut. One thing we can absolutely do that we previously discussed is there are going to be Joseph Toyota employees out there that can help assist direct traffic if it's necessary, including stopping traffic on Pool Road to help these cars come through. There was also a question from a David Peters that was sent to our engineer. He was unfortunately out of town, wasn't able to be here tonight. There was a concern about the turn radius of trucks coming out of there. 2 points I want to make. Number one, this curb cut is egress only. There will not be vehicles coming into Joseph Toyota from this curb cut, only exiting out. When this was designed by our engineers and architects, it was specifically designed to have these large car transport or haulers to make the turn and be able to get out onto Pool Road. That was the whole reason for having this, is so that they have a point of exit to get out of Joseph Toyota, and so we're not left in a situation like we discussed last time where we'd be unloading cars on Colerain Avenue. So as far as turn radius, we don't have a specific study, but that was a part of the overall engineering of this curb cut. Lastly, I just want to very briefly address, I believe it was Ms. Davis came up here and made comments earlier today. Number one, I think the board understands this is the due process right here, as we have a public hearing. We have an opportunity to be heard. We're here before the Board of Trustees because this was deemed to be a major modification. And that's why we're here to address that. As far as conversations with Ms. Jarvis, those were handled solely by Joseph Toyota and its representatives. Our firm had no involvement in any discussions with her, and every discussion we were to address her concerns, which is what we talked about with the board last time, and to try to be a good corporate neighbor to her. Certainly any accusations of bribery or anything like that are completely out of bounds and never any part of our intention or what we were doing.
Which, in fact, we asked you to do last time.
You did.
We requested it.
The board asked us to do that, and we reached out to Ms. Jarvis, and I think made some ground with her. I don't believe she's here tonight, but I believe we made some ground and are willing to do some stuff to help her. We're here to answer any questions that the board may have prior to making a decision on this, and are certainly happy to address any of that.
So it was my concern about the egress coming out 2 lanes of traffic and to have a car carrier that it's basically 7 to 8 car lengths. So my concern was getting out of that driveway without going up on the property of Farback Warner and coming back over. I mean, you're a truck driver. You have to be, I guess, pretty darn skilled to stay within 2 lanes with a car carrier being 8 car lengths long. And that was my big concern, and so I didn't have the physics or dynamics to do that study, but I did read the report that was sent in. But I was told that you probably only have 2 of those a month. The other day, you said you have about 15 to 20 car loads, but I was misunderstood that I thought they were 15 to 20 car carriers, but it's car parts, and they're not always going to be big trucks, correct?
15 to 20 car carriers a month was probably more accurate. We might have 2 carriers that large of auto parts a month, maybe, maybe 1. So, and usually they're not quite as large as the car carriers, quite honestly. So, but car carriers, yeah, we're probably going to have about 20 a month. And most of them do come between, like say 8 and 5, kind of normal business hours. And the reason being is in our industry, these logistic companies can do what is called a night drop. Okay, they don't really like doing night drops because they got a little more exposure for damage, missing, if it's missing floor mats, antennas, anything, wheel covers, whatever. But the other thing on our lot in particular, we block the lot for security at night. Okay, so like you could not access this curb cut after we close at 8 o'clock, really. And we do that because I think Chief would be a little bit upset with me if I quit doing that, because it would make a lot easier for the auto thieves that we have. And so we'll get us some night drops here and there, but generally that trucker is not going to come back and do a night drop again, because he has such a hard time after business hours of getting turned around, because we got that part of the lot blocked off. He can't even turn and back up. He's really struggling to get turned around and out on the night drops. And so I do feel like most of the traffic that we generate from these trucks is going to be between kind of like that 8 and 5 time frame.
So, and another one of my concerns is those trucks, the curbs seem to disintegrate very rapidly, and I was worried about how the landscape on the other side with those trucks going up, and if they're going to go up on the property at Farbuck Warner there.
To your point, that's why we did the cut in cement, not asphalt, that part where they'll be making that turn on our end, because the cement holds up much, much better. The curb cut is really wide enough to be ingress and egress, so I would think being that wide, and I don't know if you know more about trucks than I do, that would make that, for a decent truck driver, a lot better angle that he could get to stay within the bounds of Pool Road and not go off the edge. But that is why we did do it in cement, is because, to your point, yeah, it would deteriorate rather quickly if it was asphalt. Yes.
And then I just was concerned about if there's any damage, if that is going to be something you're going to take care of if the truckers are doing damage to the other side of the.
I do think that there's an avenue back to the logistics company that we could help facilitate if a truck did do some property damage to the township property. I don't know that, I'm not saying that Joseph necessarily, but we do have a channel through Toyota for Toyota to go back to the logistic company for property damage, even if it happened on our own property. You know, there is an avenue that we could help facilitate for claims like that, yes.
And to further the other citizens' comment, Hamilton County supersedes our authority, and they did approve this, correct?
Yeah, and honestly, I feel bad for the people in your zoning department, because it's kind of made out like they didn't do their job, or maybe they did a favor. What I personally did not know any of those people before this, so they certainly owe me have done no favors or anything of the sort to Joseph. It was all in goodwill. We did approach them first. We were directed to Hamilton County. We followed the process. We got an approval. We got a permit from Hamilton County, and away we went. And
I mean, just to further with care, it does say after reading it, there is going to be no curb cuts, and that's where our zoning department dropped the ball, and then you went to Hamilton County, and now that supersedes our authority.
I understand that, but we were direct. We came.
I know. I'm just trying to clarify some citizen.
The only thing I could say to that, to the citizens, is that's why you guys are here doing what you do. That's why you have a zoning department, because sometimes things change, whether it be the resolutions they presented tonight, the laws, things change, and that's why we have these facilities to change things. I'm sorry that people feel like a step was skipped, but all I can say is, from my vantage point, nobody on our end or your end purposely skipped a step.
Now, are you going to take a curb cut off of Colerain Avenue at there? I know that was suggested, but that's not in the.
Yeah, they're not, and we don't really even use them all now, but I don't think that was in our plans to take a curb cut off of Colerain Avenue.
Okay, just wanted to double check that one.
I would say also in that, certainly because this particular curb cut on Pool Road is egress only.
Right.
Were any of you there at Joseph in 2012 at the time that was approved?
I believe that I was. I'm doing the math real quick. No, I would have been.
So, I mean, you wouldn't have the archival company knowledge of knowing that was in the final approved plan 13 years ago?
Yeah, I've not been there 13 years, so no, I would not know. Yeah, I did not know that.
Have you unloaded any car carriers in the last 2 weeks since our last meeting, and where did you unload them at?
I was gone for a week in Canada, but I am sure we had some car carriers unload. So I can only surmise that we probably had some unload on the empty lot that we've been using for years across the street from us. Beyond that, I was gone.
But not on the lot where the lot under consideration. I did follow up with that neighbor, and she mentioned that there was a truck there that unloaded.
There was a truck there this morning picking up a car, but once again, it was one of the smaller carriers picking up an auction car. We saw wholesale cars. Cars weren't going to retail for whatever reason.
Sure.
Online auctions, and then they'll send.
Oh, I like cars. I have plenty of them.
Yeah, they'll send the carrier out. So carrier did show up to pick a car today, but I'm going to say.
Did it egress on Pool?
No, nobody's used, pool's been blocked off. It's got a fence up. We've done, had zero use until this was resolved. So I don't want to say there was, to everything while I was gone, I really don't know, but I did see the guy there today picking up a used car for the auction.
The engineer that designed your lot in 2012, is that the same firm that you're using today? I think it was Abercrombie. I'm not sure who it was, but I thought that's who it was.
I kind of think so, but I can't be 100%.
I'm just trying to figure out if anybody had any
feel like-
archival knowledge of this.
If I'm not mistaken, was his father maybe an engineer
Yes.
before him?
Tom was, yes.
So could it possibly have been his father?
I think Tom's.
I feel like he mentioned that to me as I was leaving the last meeting. So I don't really have firsthand knowledge of that, but I do believe he said that to me in passing.
The citizen that made the comment and was curious if we were an open meeting forum, is that citizen still in the room, or did they leave 20 minutes ago?
I saw them leave after they.
Yeah. So just however this goes, we have a very open forum here. It's televised on Waycross. These folks show up and make comments, and then they leave, and then they go out and say, well, there was no open forum, there was no back and forth, when in fact, I think that's what's happening right now.
And I'm pretty sure Mr. Unger gives out a cell phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 404-3057, Matt, but I did talk to that neighbor also, and one of her concerns was, if you go back to 2012, and here we are in 25, and I can see where that cut would make the lot easier. Her fear is 10 years from now, when this day is forgotten, and there's a big construction project on Coleraine Avenue, and some future board here, gives you a 2 or 3 month, hey, you can use this for 2 or 3 months for in and out traffic while Coleraine's being reconstructed, and then for some reason at the end of that 2 or 3 months, it just becomes a permanent entrance on Pool Road, and that was one of her concerns. And if it's 13 years later and it was forgotten that was part of the plan, what's to say 10 or 15 years from now it wouldn't be forgotten again? I would use the case in point of the new intersection at Race and West Fork, which is in Green Township. They put a temporary light there while they were redoing the bridge on where North Bend goes over I-74. And that light was supposed to go away after that, and that light is still there 5 years later. So that's one of my considerations is, will this day be forgotten in the future? So
That's a fair point, but if Elon Musk has his way, we'll all be in hovercrafts in 15 years. So it's hard to predict the future.
well, will Joseph deal in those?
I'll be very sorry, because I don't think Toyota makes any, so I'll be extremely sorry. But it's hard to predict 15 years from now.
I mean, what assurance could you give the township that, I can see the utility of that cut, I really can. Yeah. But what assurance is there for the township that, 5 or 10 years from now, that all of a sudden, some future board makes it just a full-time commercial in and out entrance? If I was buying a car from Joseph, which I have in the past from the Chevrolet part of it, I would certainly rather go in and out that way than, that'd be real easy to go out that way to go back north on Coleraine Avenue. So,
at the end of the day, I feel like Joseph, not just Toyota, but all the Joseph brands have been a pretty good citizen in Coleraine.
Oh, they certainly have, and they employ a lot of our citizens, and provide a very necessary service with their service department.
Toyota as a brand, not just Joseph Toyota, but Toyota as a brand is a top 5 valuable brand in the world. I mean, you're talking like
They're fabulous. I've toured the factory down in Georgetown. It's really something.
Some years ago, they Toyota corporately out in California was a little down on Coleraine and thought maybe you guys should think about relocating and this, that, and the other. And we stayed true to our roots. We stayed here in Coleraine because we always believe that every community has its ebb and flow, ups and downs, and that Coleraine would shine again. Even it had rough periods during the economic downturn, just like so many other communities. So we've stood by Coleraine, and we hope Coleraine stands by us, and we've always tried to be a good citizen, and there's no reason in the world we would change that going forward.
What other future plans do you have to modify or improve the dealership besides this curb cut? Is there anything else?
At 9101, we do not. We do have some remodeling plans for the used car building that's there. We're actually going to turn that into it's really not expanding the building, just a change of purpose for it, where it'll be like a delivery center for customers, because you know, you get a new car now, there's so much technology on it, pairing your phone up, your Bluetooth, you know, sign up for your service.
So the building, the
It's-
footprint's not going to change, you're
footprint
just going
doesn't
to...
change, but the use of it will change. Instead of sales being in there, this will be an area where our customer can go and spend an hour or so with the salesman after they do their paperwork, pay for it, whatever, place for their kids to hang out while they learn that car, because it can be overwhelming when you drive that car home the first time. So this is a way to slow that down and give them a better purchase experience. That we'll be doing that there. Other than that, as part of the Toyota umbrella, we will be before you soon looking to redevelop the Chuck E. Cheese into a different Toyota entity, a pretty modern, state-of-the-art certified collision center. So we'll, you know, that's really it on the horizon for Toyota at this point. So
That is brand new information for me. Are you going to, obviously a restaurant is not suitable for that. Do you intend that if things work out, that building would come down and you put a different building there?
it really wouldn't have to come down. It is actually very large, and it could be pretty easily updated and remodeled. It may need a little additional footprint off the back of it, but I'll leave that up for, we're using Enzo Ilia. You guys probably know Ilia, so we're using him to develop a plan and present it and see if it can work or not.
I have no other questions. Did you have anything, Matt?
No, I have none. I think you guys have covered pretty exhaustively.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
I think at this point it'd be proper for you all to consider a motion to either approve or a motion to deny. There's a resolution for each in front of you all. And if you motion and second, then you can have conversation.
And what is the next step if it's approved or denied?
If it's approved, I believe there's a 30-day referendum period, and then after that ends, I believe they would have access to use that for egress, as they described. If it's denied, then I believe it would be a zoning violation, and we'd go through those channels like we normally would.
So this is actually an administrative decision, so it's not subject to the whole referendum period. It's just you guys are acting while it's before you all, and you're taking a vote and passing a resolution. It's an administrative modification. So what that would mean is it would essentially go into effect. They would be able to the PUD would be modified. Or the PD would be modified and would go from there. If they disagree, if you guys turn it down, they could appeal it administratively to the Common Pleas Court. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but that's kind of the next step from a denial. So,
What defines it as an administrative decision?
So the zoning resolution.
Okay.
So, yep.
And does that also, there was talk between major and minor, does that also put
That's exactly
boundaries on
right.
that?
Yep. So the zoning resolution identifies, I think, 8 or 9 different items that make it a major modification to a PD. If it's not in that list, it's a minor. But the zoning administrator does have the discretion to for substantial changes to a PD plan, like a final site plan, to essentially identify it as a major modification because this was a condition of the original PD. It was determined by the zoning administrator to be essentially a major modification. That's why it's before you all.
Specifically stated out in the
It was a condition of the original.
2012.
Yeah. So minor modifications actually do not come to you all. It's just made by the zoning administrator. But because of, I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I think, the thought is, hey, this is a original condition of the PD. While it doesn't get to green space requirements or building sizes or parking spaces, it is a original condition of the PD. It's significant, and we know that it was important to the community back in the 2012 as the conditions were being established as part of the PD. So that's why it's ultimately before you all.
Mr. Weckbeck, it's probably not a fair question, but if this were to be supported, is this a terminal? Is this an end game, or is there a potential to open it up for additional modifications?
I believe that until the applicant or owner were to come forward with some other changes to their PUD, there probably would not be any changes.
The other thing I would say is, depending on the language that you all ultimately decide, I know there's been discussion about, gated egress only. I think that's where it seems to have, the conversation has been. Any use outside of that would be considered a zoning violation. If it's determined that they're in violation of the zoning resolution, then they would be, cited like we did this time around, with issuing a notice of violation. So if it's starting to be used, Mr. Unger, I think, asked some questions about, what if in 10, 12 years it's used in a different way? They'd have to come back through this process to be able to use it legally under the zoning regulations of the township. So, like with all zoning, it's typically complaint driven.
Right.
I don't know a single political subdivision in the state that has the resources to just have folks going out every single day. But, I know this is we've received a number of feedback over the last two meetings, and so my guess is if they start using it improperly, the zoning office will hear about it and be on the lookout for improper use that's not permitted. And that's if it's approved. I'm not trying to jump the gun or anything.
Now, last question on this. What is the exact use that's going to be permitted?
Egress.
My understanding is that it's up to you all, and you guys can make that. My understanding,
one right now.
my understanding from the conversation is that it will essentially modify the existing condition. The existing condition says no curb cut on Pool Road. My understanding is it will say something to the effect of a gated curb cut for egress only will be permitted on Pool Road. Sorry.
And it's not possible to be more specific on what type of egress?
So that would be, those would be conditions that you could add in as you contemplate a resolution for approval. The current resolution that was drafted in front of you specifically states that there would be the removal of condition 1.2E2 from the original, which was just about the curb cut. So this conversation about egress is not directly and explicitly found in the resolution, so that would be a condition that you would have to add in as you make the motion, and that's where getting the language right, we can offer suggestions.
And is that corner, maybe Chief Cordy might know this better, is that used to be, I don't know, when Hamilton County rated the most dangerous intersections in Hamilton County, we had like 2. This was probably 15 years ago, and it was wasn't
I thought it was Springdale, Coleraine, and, yeah.
in Pool and Coleraine. Galbraith, okay.
If we were to go with the approval of removing that language that says no curb cut on Pool Road, and I've read through this when you sent the agenda out last week, but I will ask you, would this allow for a second curb cut once we remove that, or modifying this curb cut, a year from now, making it 10 feet wider, or does this prohibit a second curb cut or a modification or anything?
I don't think it speaks to that. I think the language that you all create, right, would make it clear that this is a single curb cut on Pool Road. I believe it would be unaffected on Coleraine because that's a state route, right? So that's
Pool Road is a Hamilton County road, but once we would remove that would just allow them to go to the county engineer, which I'm sure they did sight lines and stuff with the one that was built. And, what's to say, hey, we've got this approval, we want to move it, 30 feet further to the west.
That was my question, if this was a terminating decision, or if it could lead to other decisions outside our control. So you've been a little bit more artistic in explaining that to me, but that's the essence of what I was asking.
Well, and to those watching, the three of us, as I always say, the three of us don't get a chance to talk to each other about these things outside of meetings, and I'm glad we're having a public discussion about it, but and I don't mean to be dragging it out, but I'm just wondering if that would allow for additional curb cuts in the future without the oversight of the township, if we remove that.
I think it depends on what condition if you want to impose additional conditions, right? So I think, as Jeff mentioned, right now it's just removing the resolution in front of you, approving it is just a removal of the existing condition that says no curb cut. So in your scenario, Dan, if you just approve the resolution that's in front of you, yes, they could have every 5 feet, right? If it was permitted by,
the county engineer
exactly.
who gives you driveway apron permits.
That's all right. That's right. So I think, perhaps you all want to be strategic in the language if you're thinking about approving it, but don't want, other curb cuts on there, that you're clear that it's the curb cut that was, installed in May of 2025 can remain, and any change into that, they need to come back before either the trustees or staff as a minor modification to move that, change it. But the county, and I think this was discussed by David Miller last at the public hearing of, we said there was no, on the parking regulation side, there was nothing that needed to be done at the township. The county looked at the curb cut. I think there's typically some zoning involved in that conversation. It didn't occur this time, and that's why the county issued the curb permit. So, I think if you want to be, this is what we want, I think you say that in the condition.
So I'm concerned that you would have a condition that says, we're going to remove the existing condition of not having a curb cut, but allow them to have the curb cut that's already existing. Is there some legal jeopardy in saying, we didn't allow it, but there is one, so we're going to allow that one?
Well, I think, what it is, right, is zoning is typically about ensuring compliance. We don't want to be punitive, typically. There are scenarios when you have to be, but on balance, if someone's not cutting their grass or they build a shed in the wrong spot, we just want to get you into compliance, so come get a variance, right? Here, I think it was installed. We issued the notice of violation. I think the comment tonight was that it has been fenced off and not been used.
That is true. There's usually a big pickup truck that's blocking it.
Exactly. So
I go by it 3 times a day. Yeah.
Right. So I think, if we're kind of going down the path we're talking about, to me it makes sense to modify the condition or strip the condition rather than, if you want to modify it, we can modify it on the existing resolution, right? So modify the language that says no curb cut on Pool Road to basically allow the existing curb cut on Pool Road to remain, so long as it remains gated and for egress only, commercial egress only, or, however you guys want to phrase that. But I think that's, fine. And we'll have to maybe tweak some language of the resolution. That can be done, no problem, so long as it's, consistent with what you all want.
If for chance, I'm just throwing this out there, if a denial came and they took us to court because they have Hamilton County's approval on this, what are our chances even in court? I mean, it's...
I would be...
I know I hate this question. That's on my mind. That's because, it is a violation of our zoning. And so, yes, and Hamilton...
So I think, again, this is a conversation we actually haven't had with Jeff, so I'm going to be pretty careful. I think what would likely happen is if this is denied, we've issued a notice of violation, and the zoning resolution allows the township to enforce end court violations. So again, we've not had this conversation, but my guess is that's the process that would occur, is we would initiate a zoning complaint in the Common Pleas Court seeking to enforce the zoning resolution, which says no curb cut on Pool Road.
And then it would be at the discretion of that judge and how they interpret, the various states of existence. So, there is a thought process that townships are arms of the county, and so how does that weigh in, and what does that look like?
That was my major. And so since David's not here, and you are David Miller, acting as David Miller tonight, the zoning board has thought this was. And David Peters are seeking an approval.
So the zoning commission did not hear this case, is my understanding.
Okay.
That's right. So again, because of the zoning resolution says major amendments come to the trustees, minor amendments to PDs are done at staff level. This, by the language of the zoning resolution, did not qualify necessarily as a major amendment. But the zoning administrator has the discretion to basically, for substantial questions, identify it and make it a major amendment, and that's why it's here. It did not go to the zoning commission before you all. The zoning resolution doesn't require that, so that's why it's just kind of to you all on a kind of a matter of first impression. Right. I don't believe that either of the Davids, Miller or Peters, had any necessarily recommendation from staff of do this or do that.
Them
that's
for
right.
The recommendations, because that's what their jobs are.
And I think that's the exact correct route it should go. I think it should be made by the elected officials, and if there's disagreement with that, then, you know, you take that out at the voter box.
And I did misspeak, so I apologize. I pulled up the zoning resolution. Jeff was right. This is a legislative decision, so it is subject to referendum.
Okay.
So that was my fault. Your zoning resolution is just slightly different. Still understand the nuances, so my apologies. So what that would mean, Jeff was right, that if you all vote yes to approve some sort of modification, then it would be subject to a referendum. So residents would have 30 days to collect signatures of 10% of the gubernatorial voters in the last election, submit that. It would then go to the ballot. So that is a possibility.
In Colerain or in that
In
district?
Colerain, yep. So my apologies on that, thanks.
And again, that's another constitutional safeguard.
Yep, that's exactly right. Now, the other nuance to all of this that we haven't really talked about is there is the notice of violation that we issued. That was appealed to the BZA. So technically, the Joseph group has appealed the notice of violation to the BZA, saying, hey, we disagree with the notice of violation. That's currently being stayed, like their appeal of that, because of this process. They, again, wanted to kind of do it right, presented the application, submitted the application. There was a written application, so I don't know. There was a comment earlier tonight, I think, that there was nothing in writing, but there was a written application provided to the zoning department. That's how it got before you all. So presumably, too, if you all were to say no, the BZA appeal would kind of restart, and then there would be an appeal to the BZA, and from there, depending on however the BZA decided of whether they were in violation or not, then that would get appealed to the Common Pleas Court. So there's a number of ways that we can end up in court. I don't know that we will. We haven't talked about it, but that just wanted to give that context as well of everything that's out there surrounding this curb cut on Pool Road.
So I'm bothered a little bit by I mean, I understand the legal part of it, but logically, then if we approve it, the complaint will go away. But in essence, that complaint, that violation did happen, because we're just approving it. If it gets approved, we're approving it tonight. So do we withdraw? Is that how that?
Whether the notice of violation, is that what you mean? Yeah, so I think practically that's probably what happens. In theory, you could, the zoning resolution does allow to pursue civil fines for violating the zoning resolution. So up and until it's no longer in violation, you could have sought or could seek civil fines. And those can get significant. Again, I think on balance, zoning departments and zoning resolutions are we want compliance, not to be punitive, but we could, in theory, pursue civil fines for the violation that we believe occurred with the curb cut installed on Pool Road. So we could do that to kind of, I guess, get your pound of flesh.
Do we have a motion?
I wanted to ask one other question before somebody motions. Did this necessitate, when the curb cut was lined up, and I've driven past it and so has everybody, did that change the parking on that lot or the lighting? Or did they reconfigure the lot to create a lane to get to that curb cut across the lot? Or I don't have that information in front of me with this. Meaning, did they change a lot of other things to the whole traffic pattern on the lot to get to that?
They may have. I'm not aware that they have.
Which is fine, but I mean, was that is that another part of the original plan?
I don't know.
This is what the lot's gonna look like, this is how the parking's laid out on it, and now that, if it wasn't part of the plan, that's fine, but if it was, is there another change that was made?
Yeah, certainly when they would have submitted and received final site approval, right? That would have had a landscape plan, a lighting plan. I like Jeff, they submitted like engineered drawings with their application. It would reflect that new, presumably if there's any.
This changed the fence plan and the vegetation plan and.
I mean, just for 13 years it would have to have, right? So I don't know exactly what that means.
And I haven't.
But the engineered plans would show that, yeah.
My point being, this isn't the only thing that's changed on the lot, is the traffic pattern and lighting and so on.
So but that site plan was submitted to Hamilton County and approved.
It was submitted to Hamilton County and presumably approved as part of their,
Right.
the curb cut. And then it also would have been submitted to us as part of their application for this modification.
And that's the problem, that was just that oversight of one sentence, yeah, I mean, from us.
Yeah, I think, it was just a miscommunication or lack of communication between the county and the township.
Which is, technically, they should have applied for a variance to get a curb cut and from the get-go.
The modification, yep, exactly. Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion based on this discussion to deny the major amendment to the final development plan, Resolution 2912, to get it to the floor for a little additional discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second just to.
Get it to the floor.
So my thinking on this is, as this is written, it doesn't prohibit a second cut or an additional cut or a wider cut. And I can just, I think they're marvelous business. This has nothing to do with anything except the way this is written. It doesn't prevent, future property acquisition, additions to the site, and then a second curb cut or anything else. And I can just see where, 10 years down the road, it becomes a full-time commercial in and out entrance.
From my perspective, I think that we can add those as requirements within an amended approval of the plan. And I would, as it sits now, I don't support it, but if we were talking about limiting it to egress only, some language that says just the current size, it can't expand, and the idea of it being gated, I think is good for everyone, including Chief, with the cars there. I mean, it's a little bit, it's kind of, we already have it, in essence. And the thing I'm conflicted about is the logic of now allowing it when it wasn't allowed and it being okay when it wasn't okay. And that just kind of makes my head spin.
Well, can we vote on this, and then if you choose to bring up the other option?
I think we have to have more of our parameters in there before we take a vote on this.
We can vote on
We can vote on denying
Yeah,
it.
but then come back and with,
So if we continue with the vote to deny it, then can one of these two bring up a motion to approve it, because both of those are on the agenda?
Yep, sure. I mean, in theory, I think you're considering their application, right? So if you vote to deny the application, in my mind, that would deny the application.
That's if it's an affirmative vote to deny.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So if we get 2 yays on this vote, that would deny the application, and I think that would end the discussion.
If we get 2 noes on this vote, then
that's right.
Then it's possible to, since it's on the agenda.
but, and if if it's the no's, and then if we do the yes on the approval, but with the major amendments.
Yeah. So just to be, I think, very transparent and candid, we don't know how you all are going to vote. We don't know. You guys don't talk, and we don't.
And you
we
guys,
don't know.
You have had the benefit of talking to whoever you have, and you're watching live government in action here.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I think there was an approval resolution done and a denial resolution.
Well, we're considering the denial resolution right now.
But I'm just answering Kathy's question. If those could be modified,
Right.
if you guys would like it to be.
So
But I understand that there's a first and a second on the denial
Right.
motion right now, or denial motion.
Ms. Ulrich?
I'm going to say yes for the denial, and then I'm going to another motion.
No,
There's another yes, it's over.
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay, but please?
If it's another yes,
It's over.
We can't bring back the.
It's a denial of the entire application.
Okay, then, so a yes would bring back the approval.
No.
No.
No would bring it back.
Would-
But I said no, right?
You said yes.
Oh, I said no, no to the denial, and then to bring it back to, okay.
Your vote is?
No.
Then my vote is yes.
Mr. Waller?
No.
Hearing some of the conversation that you all had, I can offer an amended, this would be the first whereas clause in the resolution, should you all decide to move forward with an approval. And where we start in the clause on number 1, specifically the removal, I would change that to read specifically the amendment of condition 1.2E2, the curb, to reflect that the curb cut installed in May of 2025 shall be the only curb cut on Pool Road, and the curb cut shall be for gated and controlled egress only for Joseph Toyota deliveries. And then continue the clause as it would be in the best interest of the township, and so on and so forth.
And remain at that size.
Yeah, I'd like to tighten up as much as we could.
So yes, shall be the same as the curb cut installed on that date at that time.
Because currently, if we say the curb cut that was installed on that date, that can get bigger by 10 feet one day. And it's still the same curb cut, in my view.
It would have to be the same dimension.
Yeah.
Yep. So that would be a comma after shall be the only only curb cut on Pool Road, shall remain the same size and dimension as installed, and then continue on with the other piece.
You know, I think we discussed about egress only and gate.
Yes.
Did you want a motion before you went any further?
Yeah. Well, I want to find out what we're motioning for.
Yeah, to the exact verbiage.
So the verbiage, as I just wrote it out from the conversation, is the amendment of condition 1.2E2 to require the curb cut installed in May of 2025 shall be the only curb cut on Pool Road, comma, shall remain the same size and dimension as installed in May of 2025, comma, and the curb cut shall be for gated and controlled egress only for Joseph Toyota deliveries.
And that it would meet all the other requirements of the 2012 final design plan, which it already doesn't, because they had to remove landscaping and fencing to get in there.
Mr. Chair?
Can I just bring up one point in that you said for deliveries, or I'm sorry, you said for pickup or for delivery only. It would be egress only, but the cars could be, the transporter cars could be delivering cars or picking up cars from Joseph Toyota. Still only egress, but I just don't want to say just pickup only. It could be dropping off or pickup.
And egress to the west, or to the east. You couldn't egress, you couldn't take a right on Pool and head towards Cheviot Road.
And I would hope that they...
I mean, that probably only left turns out of there towards Coleraine Avenue, which would be east. Is that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I couldn't imagine why a truck would go the other way, but yes.
Yeah, well, I couldn't imagine either, but pretty soon you'll have a bunch of them.
So that would controlled eastbound egress only for Joseph Toyota operations.
And vendors or whatever, I guess, do we need her? Technically, it's not going to be their truck.
Joseph's wasn't possessive there. It was just
All right.
plural.
Was there any other changes to the design plan that was approved in 2012 besides this curb cut? I mean, did you realign the traffic on the lot to?
No, because there was really never traffic back there before. There was always cars parked.
When that was presented in 2012, was there parking there on your final site plan? I realize that it's a tough question right now, and neither one of us has that in front of us.
Yeah, I was not there in 2012, but in the last 9-10 years, that has always been parking, back where the curb cut is. We did not add any lights when this curb cut was installed. So no real changes I could really spell out as far as traffic patterns or anything like that. I mean, we would, yeah, because it's really kind of a clear shot to get back there once you're on the lot during normal business hours. So it should be pretty easy for the truckers to.
So would you consider putting something in there, Jeff, that says there will be no future applications to the Hamilton County engineer for curb cuts?
We can,
Pool Road?
yeah.
We would, are you saying to put into this resolution that we can no longer make any future applications, period? Or
Just for Pool Road?
Or just directly to the directly to Hamilton County?
I'm just trying to think of how to keep, after we're all, you and him and the three of us are gone, how do we keep some future board from, how do we keep Joseph and a future board from applying to the county engineer to put in another curb cut?
I
Let's
don't know
say.
that we can do a prior restraint.
Well, I think, you know, Mr. Unger, if I'm understanding, your concern is, hey, we have identified this, assuming this language goes forward, right? It identifies the single existing, I say existing, the new curb cut. Your concern is, hey, we don't want this to happen again. We don't want.
Right, yeah, I just
We
want to
don't want Joseph going to the engineer's office and saying, hey, we want another permit to install a curb cut. I think,
modified curb cut or
yeah, I
whatever.
think perhaps the applicant's question is, well, hey, we don't know what it's going to look like in 15, 25, 35 years. I think my answer to that would be you would have to come back and seek a modification of the, and I don't think that's what Mr. Unger is trying to prevent. A future modification that goes to the public hearing has, you know, trustee consideration and approval, but this whole like, hey, we're just not going to shortcut it by going to the engineer. Is that right, Mr. Unger?
But I'm not saying any of us sitting here right now would do that, but I'm just saying 10 years from now, what's to say that the dealership sells to another, let's say Joseph sells out and the new owner, are they bound by this? Or do you put Joseph and their successors into this language?
Well, it would run with the property. It's not just for the current owner. It's with the property. The zoning is. So I don't think there would be that concern. I think again to get beyond a single curb cut on Pool Road with the same size and specifications and dimensions of the existing one, they would have to seek a modification of the PD resolution, and so they wouldn't be able to just go to the county and say, hey, we want a second cut or a larger cut, because it would be in violation of our zoning, and so we would, you know, issue a notice of zoning violation.
We don't have the chance to discuss it, so I'm discussing it. So let's say in the future, Joseph, develops the Chuck E. Cheese's site, and all of a sudden they don't need that property anymore, and it sells to some different use and a different owner. Does that apron still remain?
The apron remains and can be used for the operations of that. Again, I think I don't remember the exact name of the PD, but it's to run a car lot. It can be used for controlled egress for that owner or operator.
So if some other operator came in, and Joseph's a great ethical company, but let's say some other operator comes in and goes, hey, we got this gate, we're not, and it becomes a problem, I guess we would cite it and it would go through.
They're in violation of the zoning resolution.
Is there a way to bind future owners of that property?
Outside of the zoning resolution, I mean, outside of what we're putting in there today, I don't believe that you could. I guess if the modification that we're making speaks to Joseph, then in theory, if it were to turn over to someone else that is not part of the Joseph Automotive Group, they would probably day one have to get an approval to use that egress, just based off the way that we're wording this, is my guess.
And your gate, is that electronically controlled?
Yeah, the plan was it would be an electronically controlled gate, and the keypad or whatever mechanism to open it would only be on the inside of the property. There would be no way to open it from Pool Road.
And so as long as that's in our amendment too, that it's got to be a gated, closed, electronic surveillance, whatever.
Is there any way you can put times of day that you're allowed to, I'm not saying I want to do that, I'm just saying, is there a way to put a,
That can certainly be a condition that if you all want to impose.
yeah, I've gone up Coleraine Avenue and I've bailed out of Coleraine Avenue on Pool Road on a Saturday morning just to get off of Coleraine Avenue. Do you take deliveries on Saturdays?
We have no real control over that, honestly.
Okay.
Most truckers don't like delivered on Saturday or Sunday because at the end of the day, they really prefer a signature from one of our employees
Right.
versus a night drop. Because, I'm not saying somebody won't show up on a Saturday, it could happen, but it's It's usually pretty early if it does, because they're looking to get a signature and get out of there.
Right.
And they know most car dealerships as a whole do not do signature deliveries on Saturdays and Sundays.
I'm sure that you go there every day and you know what the traffic conditions are around there. And it was 5 or 6 years ago, we had a architect draw up a whole new plan for Colerain Avenue from Mount Airy, from Green Township, Mount Airy, all the way to
the mall.
to Struble,
Yeah.
all the way to Struble. And how is this set with that plan, Jeff? I don't know. Were you here at the time?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
We had a architectural engineering firm 5 or 6 years ago draw a whole new traffic plan for Colerain Avenue that
Oh, right,
resulted
right.
in.
I haven't gone back and looked at that to see if it actually touched on Pool Road. It was mainly concerned with curb cuts up and down Colerain Avenue specifically. They did a little bit of work on the side streets, but mainly in context of any access roads that were being contemplated behind properties. I don't
Right.
recall there being an access road being contemplated from Pool to, say, Springdale would probably be the next closest major thoroughfare. So without having looked at that, sorry, I was trying to draft the language so I could put it up on the screen.
Well, that's fine,
So you
yeah.
guys could see what that
The
looks
only
like.
thing I
So-
could
Please do that.
maybe just add is just, if we can all just keep in mind, we're not actually seeking this as a mechanism to increase traffic on Colerain Avenue. The traffic's already there. We're just
Right.
redirecting it, from that Compton intersection, Compton-Colerain intersection.
Sure.
to
It's
a
very
little bit off
busy.
the main, exactly, off to that. And then hopefully that can develop into something nice for the township, that corner at Compton and Colerain at that point then.
Right, and I am 100% behind your dealership. I'm just concerned that
Oh, I understand.
5, 10, 15 years from now, what this turns into.
Makes sense.
It's nothing, it's all business, nothing personal.
Okay, if I can get this to.
I will motion to approve the major amendment to final development plan, resolution 2912-2025, 0708, with the conditions added, stipulated.
This would be the replacement of condition 1 based on what we just discussed. So I will leave that up there for you all to read for a moment.
When did you get do you know when you got the permit for that?
I could look on my phone and tell you. I probably have a copy of it.
I would probably take the word may out because I don't really know when they got the permit, and
I think
installed in 2025 shall be the only curb cut.
Yeah, so I think the permit was, sometime first quarter.
It was the approved permit was issued in May.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I had that out earlier.
And that's, I think, when it was actually installed, but we can say 2025 as well.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Matt, to just take out the word may, because I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, so we had the permit in May. It was very rainy, so I feel like we didn't even start till sometime in June, maybe.
It was before that. I think it occurred in May.
I'd like to have the date in there because
all right, just give me a
it
second.
pins it down more.
Yep, just give me a sec.
Now, it's not 100% finished yet either. I know that says installed because we still have to put the gate in. We still have to put the and the landscaping, yeah.
Installed prior to the July
concrete-
22nd trustees meeting.
The concrete was poured on May 5th.
When did it cure?
Exactly.
No, but I think you're better off putting the curb that was installed prior to the June 22nd, 2025 trustees meeting.
It just,
Right now is when we're discussing
to
it.
the applicant's point, the
As the dimensions as it sits on July 22nd, 2025.
Okay.
We're not changing the dimensions.
Right.
That has to be completed is the gate, the landscaping. Dimensions of the curb cut are not changing from what they are.
Correct, yes. Yeah, it's landscaping and gate, yeah.
Did we have a second?
No.
Second.
I'm going to motion to call the question here. And vote.
I mean, he's still typing something up there.
We're working with that date, I think.
And did you want to put any question about time of day in there at all, or not? Because you really don't know, right?
We don't, no.
Well, they can't deliver them if the gate's locked. Or they can't pick up if the gate's locked. Or will the driver have access to that?
No, I mean, it can only be during business
Right.
hours, because like I said, we block the rest of the lot
Right.
for security. So, yeah, they would have, if they came after hours, they're just kind of screwed themselves, sorry.
In my experience, you're probably gonna need to replace the gate 2 or 3 times anyway. Somebody will drive into it, so. Sorry.
I think they did put delivery vehicles.
Yes.
It's not, oh, sorry. So not just
I think
cars coming,
the-
not
yeah,
cars
so
coming
I-
in and out, it's.
It did originally say deliveries, but I think the concern was it's
pick-
also for pickups.
Can we put, instead of,
I think Joseph Toyota delivery and pickup.
okay, not just well, just so they,
Well, they still have to, they pick it up in the lot, but they drive out.
I'm talking about employees and people driving out the lot. I mean, so, I mean, I guess only the truckers are gonna get the access codes, correct?
Yeah, we're not really going to the truckers, it'll be our employee that. would
The
let
employee,
trucker out.
yeah, so, just so it's not a lot of cars coming in and out there.
Yeah.
Will it be open for cars ever?
That was not the intention. Our intention all along was
I think that's
really
what-
just trucks. Yeah, so if you wanted to.
Put
some
something in that
language
says
about-
only commercial vehicles?
Yeah, commercial vehicles or
Okay.
what have you. Yeah, the intention was never for customers or employees to use it.
Right, just
Yeah.
so it doesn't get abused.
Commercial, commercial.
Yes. I think that's better.
Who's the other neighbor there? There's a business on the corner of,
Yeah, there's Visiting Angels and Legacy Tavern are the businesses that are in that building right
And then there's one
and I guess the
house.
engineer, there's enough distance between Visiting Angels and this curb cut, so it's not gonna affect them.
No, we're
There's a house
as
in
far
between.
away from them as we can be, I think.
The engineer did approve the permit, I understand that, and I'm sure that they made sure it wasn't too close to the,
Yeah, I mean, the drawing,
driveway.
was submitted to the county, so yeah.
I think it's been a good, healthy discussion.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes, with the amendment.
Mr. Unger?
No.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the discussion.
Appreciate the time and the effort you put into
Do you feel better now?
I do feel better. I feel bad that it's got off on the wrong foot and just.
Oh, I don't think it did at all. And as far as the comment from the citizen, are you the big aggressive attorney that went and beat on the neighbor? Because I did talk to her.
Those were the two that beat on the
No,
two
she,
ladies.
I talked to her yesterday. She said some very nice people came out, and would that be those two?
would love to be included in the very nice people, but no, it was just those.
Are you two the ones that went and visited her? Yeah, I think you've all conducted this very professionally, and I'm glad that we've had a chance to get, air this out, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, board, the final items on the agenda tonight are consent items. I'll read them into the record. So a contract with Frost Brown Todd. This is the engagement letter for our arbitrage work related to the interest we earned on fire bonds, and that is for $4,500. Donation acceptance from Christine Utter to the Department of Fire and EMS in the amount of $300. New hire of a police recruit, Haley Woods, at a rate of $27.50 per hour, and a new hire of a police clerk, that would be Courtney Hedrick, at $22.15 per hour. I'd recommend approval of the consent agenda.
I motion that we approve the consent items as described by Administrator Weckbach.
Second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, is there a need for a fiscal office report?
No report.
Okay. Is there a need for an executive session?
At the discretion of the board, I do not have anything.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm fine.
No? Okay. So we have a motion for adjournment?
I motion that we would adjourn the meeting at 7:49 PM.
I'll second that.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, we are officially adjourned at 7:50. Thank you for watching tonight.